But
Now
I got
live.
big concrete blocks there, so they're holding them on.
Okay, it looks like we're live streaming now, so Ralph, maybe we want to start, and Brian could start recording.
I think, well, let's just check with Brian. Did he start the recording yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it is now live. Okay, so that's all right. Fine. Okay, so let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Irfan's not going to be here, so Sadek is
Right.
the only one that's missing.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and start then. Jerry, could you
Okay.
read the boilerplate, please?
Yes, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, and regulations governing remote meetings, NJAC 5:39-1.5, I hereby declare this meeting of the Holmdel Township Zoning Board to be open and announce that adequate and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in notices dated January 8th, 2021 and May 28th, 2021. Notices were sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, and posted on the bulletin board and on the main access door to Town Hall. Notices were filed in the clerk's office and posted on the township's website at www.holmdeltownship.com. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to ask questions or provide comments once the meeting is open to the public. At that time, you will need to use the raise your hand feature on the bottom of the screen, and you will be invited into the meeting by the chairperson one at a time. You will need to have audio and video capability, and you will be sworn in and asked to provide your name and address for the record. If you have any technical difficulties, please contact the phone number listed in the webinar information below.
Thank you. No, roll call, please.
Ms. Avron,
Yes.
Mr. Blumenthal,
Here.
Mr. Buccolino,
Here.
Ms. Campus,
Here.
Mr. Hearn,
Here.
Mr. Orphanatopoulos,
Here.
Mr. Pesci,
Here.
Ms. Kalor, and Ms. Latif.
Sareka, you're muted.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, you want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Okay. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United
to
States
America,
of America and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment of silence to honor and thank the troops home and abroad and the first responders, emergency staff, police that support us every day. Thank you. Going on to item 1. Jerry?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, just read the item and then I'll comment.
Okay. New Horizon Properties LLC, 494 Middle Road. Preliminary/final site plan number 2019-3, block 56, lot 1. Applicant proposes to develop the property as a convenience store with fuel service facility. The property presently consists of a one-story masonry building/garage. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing structure on the property and construct a 3,000 square foot convenience store and fueling area consisting of 6 fuel pumps.
Okay, we've had a couple of hearings on this item, and originally it was scheduled to continue the hearing tonight, but scheduling reasons, this item will not be heard tonight and will be carried without further notice to June 16th. It's in 2 weeks. Please note that new meeting login information will be available on the agenda and on the township website prior to the meeting. We have the login information that's used to get into the meeting, it changes from meeting to meeting, so you'll need to get the updated notice for that meeting.
Okay.
Whoops, this says item.
Yeah, I know. I had to squeeze a new
Really gonna be
horizon.
Item 2,
Perfect.
Jerry.
1 Crocus Drive, Christie and Jeffrey Sargent, zoning board variance number 449, block 5, lot 50.43. Applicant seeks variance relief for side yard setback relief of 30 feet where 80 feet is required for the installation of a built-in pool.
Again, this item will not be heard tonight. It's going to be carried till July 21st without further notice. The engineer was working with the applicant to clarify a number of the site plan issues. And so we'll be hearing that on July 21st. Again, if you're interested in that hearing, go to the township website for the agenda for that meeting, because again, there will be a new Zoom link for that hearing.
Ready for item number 3?
Yep.
Yes.
2
Give me
Cardinal.
1 second. Could you let Mr. DeHanes in, Brian, please?
Mhm.
Thank you. Great. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
2 Cardinal Road, Richard DeHanes and Donna DePinto DeHanes, zoning board variance number 450, 450, block 21, lot 3.21, R40A zone. Applicant seeks variance relief for a 15-foot for the rear setback of 25 feet for installation of a 16 by 32 feet in-ground pool, surrounding patio, and 200-foot pool/pump house. Seeking variance relief of 25 feet from side setbacks where 75 feet is required as per ordinance. Corner lot in parentheticals.
Okay. Loretta, are the notices and fees in order for this?
Yes,
Go
everything's,
forward.
yes, it is. Everything's in order.
Okay, in that case, well, here, the applicant is Mr. DeHanes. You want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. So we are applying for this variance for a pool in our backyard.
So, Mr. DeHanes, if I could just interrupt you 1 second, we should swear you in. Are you going to be the only one testifying, or is your wife going to testify too? Or
Whoops,
You're on mute.
muted.
You're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I also called in, that's why. All right, I'm
Okay.
gonna switch over to my computer. Okay, could you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
So I was just asking, I'm going to swear you in, but do you have any other witnesses that are testifying?
No, it's, well, my wife is here as well too, so
Okay.
yeah.
So why don't we swear both of you in at the same time? You can both.
We apologize, we're at the airport.
Frozen.
Whoop, the connection froze.
Yeah, maybe you should use the phone instead.
Mhm.
Loretta's, what does it mean he's at the airport?
He has a trip to, out of Philadelphia.
Can someone, maybe if this is his phone number, the 732-977, if you let that in here, he might be able to hear us and speak to us over the phone. And we know he is on video too, but in case his Wi-Fi goes down or something.
He should be added now to speak.
Yeah, if you unmute him.
Whoop.
Richard?
Okay.
Well, he's muted right now.
Right. Let's see if he can come back and hopefully.
So, Richard, if that's your phone number, 6817, just unmute the phone. If that's you, you're on mute at the moment.
Hello?
Hi guys, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, we're actually at the airport right now, so I just lost communication with the video. But can we proceed without, or do I need to log back in on the computer?
Why don't you keep on the phone? And I guess my suggestion to the board would be start, but try to get back in on your computer because we're supposed to see
Sure.
you swear in, and if there's any questions that, we're supposed to actually be able to.
No
video.
problem. Yep, I'm going to work on it right now.
Okay, but in the
Back on the agenda
meantime,
here.
Ralph, I suggest that we swear him in over the phone and then we can repeat it later for the video if he gets back on.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Richard, if you and Donna can just raise your right hand, and just swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
We do.
Okay. I apologize. We may have to do that when you get video, but I guess I would suggest we proceed now, Ralph, with the phone connection.
Okay, go ahead. Do you want to please explain your application and
Sure.
what you need from the board?
Sure. So we're looking right now. So basically, I know Bob Buco's associate was out to just kind of assess our situation with our application, and we're on a pretty unique piece of property. We're looking for some relief for the installation of a in-ground pool in our backyard. We basically have a 3-tiered piece of property with some slopes surrounding the property, and with that, we're kind of limited to the placement for a pool in our yard. We have about 15 feet of flat area where we currently have a patio, and then our slopes up about 8 feet up from that point there to our rear property line. And with that, we're kind of limited to what we could do with this pool. So we spent a lot of time trying to map out a plan to install this pool, and without with really minimizing the impact and effect of the natural terrain back inside there. And in doing this here, what we proposed was kind of a step up to an elevation and cutting a grade of about 3 feet across, like a 30 by 60 foot grade, to create a flat area to install the pool. It however pushes us over the rear setback of the 25-foot requirement, which if we follow the setback requirements, we would be right off of our patio, and we would be at grade level, basically forcing us to install a larger retaining wall in the backside of the property line. And we're trying to really minimize the soil disruption and that whole landscape elevation in the back there. I think I may be getting in right now. So hold on one second.
Hey, Loretta or Mark,
Yes.
I have access to the exhibits, which he's trying to explain. It might help if the applicant wants me to show some of them while he's trying to describe what he's talking about, because I obviously can see it on my computer.
That's right.
So Marty, I don't know
Sure.
if the applicant would like, and he knows his item numbers, I can put them on the share.
So Richard, would you like your exhibit 1 or any of your exhibits shown on the screen?
Sure. We could bring them up one by one. That would be great. And I'm actually back on the video. So if you guys could, I'll raise my hand to just get back in the meeting if we could.
There we go.
Now, Richard, some of these things we only have the survey map, which is exhibit 1. We have a paper copy. The other items we don't have.
Okay. So even with the survey map, it kind of really shows the whole footprint of that, of the layout and the positioning of the pool. I know based on some of the other, I actually watched a few of the Zoom meetings on prior pool applications, and some of the concerns that have come to, the concern of the board and I guess the state as well, with regards to stormwater runoff. And with that, I think we took a lot of things into consideration with that, as to incorporating some boulder walls in the front of the lower part of the slope to basically absorb a lot of the runoff from the patio and the surrounding pool area inside there. And again, this is really to just really minimize cutting into that grade. And as I state, you know, it's about an 8-foot differential to the high point. We had kind of a crown or crest in the south, like the west or the east side of the rear property where a tree fell that we, you know, basically, yes.
Can I interrupt you? I think it would be easier for the board members, because I see what you're talking about, for me to show some of these exhibits about the slope.
Yes, please. Yes,
So,
yep.
Exhibit 11 shows the slope and where you want to put the pool. So I'll show that.
That would be great, Dimitri.
Okay, can you see
Right.
that? The top
Yeah,
picture?
so I think this here really gives you a really clear idea with the 3D rendering of what we're looking to do. And you could basically see we have this small patio up at the backside here, and then we have that little front slope that would basically be handled with some large boulder wall across that whole front of that slope there. Have 3 loads of 3 to 4 foot diameter boulders being delivered for that, and we're starting some of this now. But obviously not the pool excavation or anything like that there, but some of this landscaping that we're doing inside here to, again, maintain retention and also to create a nice fall off for the rain garden where any runoff coming off of the patio would basically be captured into this rock, like rock. It's kind of more of a placement than a retaining wall. Basically, you see the existing slope is going to remain. And we will address that with some nice sized boulders and then some ground cover inside there, like mountain pinks or something like that there that will grow between the rocks. And that would really capture the bulk of the runoff coming from the south to the north on the property. Off to the east side, which would be the left of the screen, there would be, and again, on one of the other plan views, there's a landscape bed up inside there as well. That would be behind it. Actually, it's not that exhibit. It's one of the topographic, not the topographical, but the actual plan view of the survey.
Yeah, I think try 4. I think.
I'm moving there.
Yeah.
Right. So that, yeah, even that one, yeah, that one right, exhibit 4. And again, if you see, to the left of the pool right there, you'll see just that little curved line around the evergreens in the back here, and to the left there, that little curved line where it says new landscaping bed. Basically, will capture any runoff coming in that direction. That would basically just be, again, some ornamental landscaping inside there. And then the retaining wall basically is a 3-foot retaining wall. So what we looked at, we'd have basically a 5-foot step up to the grade of that elevation where the pool would be, the plane of the pool. And then in the back, there would be a 3-foot retention wall that would basically, with about a 10-foot buffer off of the property line, that would give us, again, some distance from the property line. It gives us a nice evergreen privacy screen back there, along with we plan on putting a 6-foot fence on that backside there along the property line to basically create some good privacy between us and our adjoining neighbors who have a pool on their opposite side as well, and yet not disturb too much of the grade. I think that was really the biggest challenge for us was how do we get a pool in here? Now, if I was to pull that pool forward into the plan inside the guidelines of the dotted lines, which is the setbacks, the side and the rear setback, that pool would then be right up against our patio, and then that would really require us to do about an 8-foot retaining wall on the backside of that there, as opposed to really minimizing the impact of disturbance of the soil, other than for the pool excavation. So, and the grade back there, if you look at the topographical, you'll see if you want to just, Dimitri, if you could just scroll to the topographical that we did.
Sure.
I think it's I actually believe it was the first exhibit, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just,
Yes.
no, not that one. I'm sorry. I just don't have the catalog in front of me to see what number exhibit.
This
Yeah,
one?
nope, keep going. No, there's another one. Keep going. That one right there. So if you blow that up and you blow the backyard up a little bit, you could kind of see where we have, and again, if you bring that up a little bit, and you'll see our patio basically is set at ground zero, basically zero elevation, grade elevation. And if you look at the topographical, in that high hump in the middle, there was a tree that rotted out that we lost over there, and basically that's the remnants of that tree stump that's going to be removed and basically graded down. But if you look, you'll see in all practical purposes, that 8-foot grade in the back there is basically the property, the level line of the adjacent property inside there. So we would be dropping 3 foot from that 8-foot grade down to about a 5-foot level off of our patio, and which really minimizes the disturbance of that whole area inside there and kind of maintains all the, basically where you see the 5-foot grades along that there kind of is like the ground zero for basically the base level of the pool itself, and kind of takes up that footprint. So, and you can see, our property is kind of sloped in many different directions. We're not really going to be impacting anything outside of that area there. What we're planning on doing with some of the soil that's removed from the higher point of the excavation is to the right side of the corner of the house there, building that grade up a little bit to flatten it out and kind of lessen the runoff inside there to not be so drastic, because there's a natural runoff. If you see on that right side, it drops from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 pretty fast down that side to a negative grade, and then a slope all the way down into kind of a swale that runs down between the adjoining properties on the side there. That lot 508 is the backside of Timberdale, which his property runs all the way out to Catbird Alley. And in there, there's basically just a big swale that runs all the way down to the spillway down below, which runs, the spillway basically is parallel with Catbird Alley all the way down to Crawford's Corner Road. So we think, and again, we have no other location on the property. Our coverage is way below the coverage. I did post some lot coverage, square footage on here that shows us well within the lot coverage, even with the pool and the thing. We still probably have about 3,000 square feet of additional area we could essentially eat up in lot coverage to stay under and still stay underneath the 25%. So we're just, we want the board to just, really, I have a 13-year-old daughter who's a inspiring athlete. She's been on the USA team as a gymnast, and she's taken us to Russia. She's taken us to Portugal, and this is something that we're looking to, put in for her. And I think we have, as a resident, the rights to try to utilize the property as best as we can, considering the challenges that we have with this parcel because of the slopes. And if you look off the front, the front of the house, basically that's a 40-foot grade off of the front of the house that drops down there. The side grades are kind of not as drastic, but the one off the front. So we really have no other place to really do this here, and to really make, to beautify the property, to really create some privacy between us and the neighbors in the back. We've really taken that into consideration with this plan. And again, we're just, looking for, some comments. And again, Bob, I know George was out there. We walked the whole site, and I think he was pretty confident in what we proposed to do back there with really minimal impact to, the property. So, I'm interested in the team's feedback as well.
Richard, this is Dimitri. Why don't you go through all the exhibit? Because I think a lot of the exhibits that you have here would help the board
Sure.
members understand your property.
Sure. So let's just start back with Exhibit 1, and we could just run right back through the overall thing. So basically, this kind of just outlines the setbacks, where it kind of shows you what we would be limited to. So basically, the side setback is 75 feet off of Cardinal Road, and and you can see where it kind of positions us. And then a 25-foot obviously puts us like right up against our patio that's out there right now, which we're trying to avoid that there. And being too close to the house, I have a full basement downstairs that it kind of puts us at a little bit of a risk being that close to the house, and I would rather try to keep it a little further away. So that was one of the intents. If we go to Exhibit 2.
I'll just make one comment here. The side setback issue is a common one for any lot that's on a corner. Because
Correct,
of the way
right.
the Holmdel ordinance is written, it doesn't really work for properties like this. So
Right, and Ralph,
that.
right, and with that, Ralph, just to point out, like our side, the side of our garage is only 50 feet off of the property line, so it's got to be kind of grandfathered in, I would assume, with from the original survey, and where the house was built, and I'm sure that the ordinances have changed over time that expanded that side setback from 50 feet to the 75 feet. Or the particulars that are associated with the new regulations on the 75-foot setbacks on a corner lot. So it certainly is a challenge. And
that raises a question that I don't know if the planner or the attorney. So that's a pre-existing condition, which is non-conforming with the current ordinance. Do you know if there was previously any variance granted for that?
no, and obviously when we had our house surveyed, and I really don't, Ralph. I do not. I know that when we purchased the house, we bought this house in 2001. We've been here 20 years. We've never had there was never any comments when we made the purchase about the setbacks not being or the house not being in compliance with the current zoning regulations. I don't know what year the 75-foot rule came into play within the township ordinance. You guys would probably know better than that.
Well, some of these predate all of us, but on the other hand, I think one of the key things, presuming that this moves forward in any way, that our attorney ought to include some comments about this in the resolution so that it's clear where this arises and what variance might be needed to make this legal.
Yeah, we've done it in the past. Obviously, this year we've got a couple of them. So we would just, my recommendation is when we vote to include the pre-existing setback for the existing garage, just at an abundance of caution. But
yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would agree with that, Maureen.
Ralph,
So we are 50 feet. We're 50 feet from the curb line to the side of the garage.
Mhm. Yeah, and
are we using Cardinal as your front yard, or that's your side yard?
Well, that's a whole nother question.
What's your address?
Well, let's put it this way. The mailing address is Cardinal Road. So I would assume that would be the front yard.
The driveway is going into Cardinal Road too.
Right.
Yeah,
the house is positioned facing Cappard Alley. The front of the house is facing Cappard Alley. And again, this is kind of the uniqueness of this property is with the side entrance, the setbacks. So you basically, there's still, I think, a 25-foot side setback on Right, so that would be 50, it would be 25 feet off of the rear. So if the rear of the house is actually the side of the house, that there would still be a 25-foot setback off of there that we would still need the variance for. And again, I don't know who determines, the position of the house. We've always assumed the back to be the back on the property. And
I think, don't you have to go by the address? If you're on Cardinal, that's the front.
I think Cardinal, I mean, there's streets, there's a house on my street, driveway's on the side street, but it's, the address is the other street. So I think the address is a good indication of that's your front yard.
That's,
There's a few different ways that it can go. I mean, I think that that's generally how it works, and generally, like, the ordinance has some provisions on how to determine that. However, this property is very unique because the way that it usually works with corner lines is that, okay, the side that abuts, so say it's a typical corner lot and it has, properties on either side of it, the property that abuts, the side of it that abuts the side yard line is considered the side. So in that case, it's a little confusing here, especially because of just so I think that, the way it's been, and also again, 2 front yards are required in terms of the setbacks. So I think that here, because the house to the, sorry, what is that? On the house next to it that fronts on Cardinal Road, that's really,
south, right?
That's a side yard too. So so I think that the determination that the side yard is in the rear is appropriate here. So
I agree with that.
Okay.
So I have a question, if I'm reading the diagram correctly. If you were to meet the setbacks, it would take about 1/3 of the swimming pool away, maybe even more?
Oh, yeah, it was, and again, if I meant the setbacks, the biggest thing that I'm concerned about is, the soil disturbance that we would have to cut out and the massive retaining wall that we would have to put up behind there, which, again, it'd be like, having one of those sound barriers built when you're next to a highway behind your property after you've moved in there. You know what I mean? So it's not something that we even really want to consider in a sense, and thus the reason why we've been looking to really try to implement this plan in here with the property, just because of the limitations. I mean, we're very, very limited here with what we could do.
Bob, do you see any stormwater issues here, the way he's designing it and all the effort they're putting into this?
Well, I was going to wait till Mr. DeHanes was done with his testimony, but, my assistant George was out there. They did look at this. I believe that, if we get good engineering drawings, that, he could handle the stormwater runoff. And the way he's described, that he would do like a rain garden feature, which the board has, looked on favorably. And again, but my concern is the fact that, he's going into the steep slopes. He's going to have some, some real engineering done for me to look at with the retaining walls and everything that's associated with building this pool. The 13 exhibits were great. But again, I still, for the board, I would still want to see some engineering drawings so that everything that Mr. DeHanes has just testified to with the soil stabilization is in fact going to be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and if I may just kind of comment, Bob, right? So one of the first things that I talked to was with Lonnie when I was in the building department, and one of the first things that we talked about was if I wanted to put up a retaining wall back there, I could essentially put up a 3-foot retaining wall in the back there without a variance, basically get zoning approval for $60 and turn around and install a 3-foot retaining wall and cut that grade out without any zoning approval whatsoever inside there. I believe that to be the case from my discussions with her. And, you know, so the excavation could essentially happen with with just an application for a zoning permit for a 3-foot retaining wall back there. And so, and again, I mean, I'm presenting this as a full-blown plan here for everything that we're putting into place here, including the buffers between the property line and the pool, again, to just maintain as much distance as we can with the adjacent neighbor and to provide screening back inside there, again, address the, any, potential excess runoff inside there. So, I mean, there's some engineering that needs to, some additional engineering that needs to go into the plan. I mean, we're willing to do this. But it's, we think that we believe that this is a really well thought out plan and really minimize the impact of the, the whole environment with the property.
Right. So you would have to address, your runoff from your adjacent lot, your neighbor there, 508. Is that what it is? Lot 508?
Right, 508,
right
right.
side? Yeah.
Yes.
So, I'd like to see a grading plan that would show that, with the boulders and everything that you have proposed and testified to. I would just like to make sure that, you're not the additional runoff in the way that you're going to be grading your property doesn't adversely affect that property owner.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, I think that, for every intents and purpose that would be able to be done for you guys.
Okay. Now, also, if you're only going to be building a 3-foot high retaining wall, all right, that's fine. But if it goes past that, you do have to have an engineer.
Understood. Right. We need the engineer to sign and seal drawings for anything that exceeds that. Yep.
Okay.
So, and I think that's what kind of gave us the flexibility. And again, I worked it back from the high point of the most common area in the back of the lot, adjoining to our neighbor, to not create any disturbance back inside there and basically work that grade down. And that's where we felt that, the 3-foot drop would put us at about 5 feet above our grade inside there. We'll have a nice little stairway up there. It gives me a nice little architectural boulder wall in front that dubs as the spill off in the rain garden in front there. And on the other side where the pool house, where we're proposing a pool house, basically that side will be stone on that there. So we're anticipating on that grade inside there from the patio to the retaining wall to basically just be encompassed with a couple inches of stone, and we could certainly even incorporate a little bit more crushed stone below that there to, again, help absorb some of the water in that area there if anything's coming that way there. And it really minimizes any water runoff from that area heading basically northwest on the property. So that there again almost acts like a big dry well back there to just help absorb some water and really keep it contained to the upper portion of the property up inside there as well.
Yeah, and that's true. And also, Mr. Chairman and board members, he's disturbing more than 5,000 square feet. So he's going to have to apply to Freehold Soils Conservation District for a soil erosion permit, which will also review the slope stabilization and runoff.
That's correct. Yes,
I'm
aware of that as well.
You'll have another check, another check on the soil stabilization for the construction that he is proposing.
I have a question. The rear part of the yard, is it currently higher and slopes down towards the back of his house? And by putting in the pool, are we getting rid of some of the height of that hill, or is it already that same level where he put the pool in?
Well, where his retaining wall
Yeah,
is proposed, that brings it up to the natural grade.
okay.
Right,
So he'll
there's
be,
actually a cross section, Bob, in there, right? If we go
Yeah.
down, if we scroll down to another couple of exhibits, I did a cross, right, yeah, that's one of the cross sections here. So it basically shows you right there, both of those there, basically what we're proposing, right?
yeah,
So
so
you
where
can see
the,
that to the left, you see the existing house, the existing patio. You see the little bit of boulder wall up there. You'll see there's about a 5-foot step up in the elevation there, and then the flat ground, which is the patio, and then we have the retaining wall with the fencing kind of step as well with the retaining wall, and then obviously the tree buffer behind there with the like a 6-foot high fence behind that there to again deal with the thing. And you can see on the exhibit above there, you kind of see where the existing dotted line reflects the current soil and elevation in there,
Okay.
and what's being cut out of there.
yeah, see what happens is the retaining wall brings it up to the existing grade. So anything that's in front of the retaining wall is going to be disturbed, basically.
Correct.
So,
Right.
So he'll have, if we go back to exhibit 4,
Right. It's basically like a 30 by 60 cut at 3
Right.
foot in that area inside there. Right.
yeah, so you'll see the trees and the fence that he proposes is going to be on a natural grade.
Correct.
All right. All of where the pool is, where the proposed pool house is, that's all going to be disturbed.
Correct. Right. Inside the retaining wall, basically the gray
Correct.
gray solid line. Everything outside of that there is really just going to be kind of graded out, minimal graded just for landscape grading. That's it. But there's no excavations. We're not planning on, we're just following natural slopes on both sides over there. So, and again, that's what we said. There's little impact on that side there. And then on the east side, right now, there's a huge slope, and we're actually cutting that down by eliminating that big hump in the middle where the tree is. We're getting that grade down on that side there to about a 5-foot elevation down to the curb line, which we plan on, again, replanting some vinca inside that area there to just maintain ground cover up in there. It's been an easy thing for us to maintain up inside there, and it has great soil retention for absorption and any runoff. I've never seen water really pouring off of that hill out onto the street and really flowing out of there greatly. The property kind of self-absorbs a lot of the runoff that generates from the slopes during rainstorms.
Okay, Francine? Yeah, okay. Can you go, Dimitri, go back to that previous drawing?
Which one? All the way in the beginning?
It was that one is fine.
This one?
Yeah.
You want the contour lines or without
No,
contour?
the one without showing the construction.
That's 4. That's exhibit 4.
Yeah, this one.
This one?
Question here, yeah. The red line with the square posts. I believe that's
Correct.
where the fence is to be?
Correct.
Correct. Right. That's drawn as being right. A few feet off of the property line. We, like I said, we have a 10-foot buffer we're going to maintain from the property line
Right.
to the retaining wall there, and we'll have those
Right. Okay.
evergreen plantings up inside there. Yep.
My question is though, there's the requirement that you have a fence all the way around the
The
pool.
pool, that's yeah.
Yeah, there is. If you look at the other drawing, and again, there's one of the other plans. I think it may be the first. Yeah, I think it's try number 3.
Yeah. So this.
Oh, I'm
this
sorry.
is a
Number
privacy-
4.
This is more of a
Yeah, go to.
fence rather than a pool fence. You can see the.
Yeah, I actually have.
red pool fence.
Go to. I'm sorry.
Number 5?
Oh,
Yeah, I think.
Oh, the
yeah.
brown one.
So if you see, right, you'll see there's a yellow line, a yellow
Yes.
dotted line that surrounds there, and you see proposed 4-foot high pool fence around that
Right.
elevation up there.
Okay.
Right. So it's going to be at the high point of the elevator, the retaining wall in the back there, and then kind of follow the contour and stepping down along the sides, and then obviously level across the front of the pool elevation there. And again, we're trying to minimize the impact of of what we disturb back inside
So
there.
there
And
two-
I
so
mean, we
there
love this
two
piece
things.
of property. It's a beautiful piece of property. We don't, we just want to try to get something in here for our daughter and for them to enjoy and just for the family to enjoy. And we thought this was really our best route in handling this here.
Do any of the other board members have any questions for Mr. DeHanes about what he's proposing?
Ralph, if you could get rid of the exhibits, because we should swear in now on the video, Mr. and Mrs. DeHane, and Mr. DeHane, and our professionals as well. So,
Sure.
Mr. DeHane, if you can raise your right hand and just everything you stated already and everything you're going to testify to is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
so for the record, you were sworn in, and our professionals, I'm sorry, did you say that also? But
Yes.
Bob
I do.
and Kate,
Mhm.
swear everything you've testified to so far and will testify to will be the truth.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. So
Okay.
just housekeeping to
That's
get
good
that
to
done.
catch that. Bob or Kate, do either of you have any other comments?
Not really, Mr. Chairman. Again, just, my concern is the stability of the steep slopes.
And the runoff.
Like the retaining walls, what it seems like with the limited topo that we have, that the retaining walls won't be any higher than 3 feet, but you never know until you get out there and you start really looking into it. But Mr. DeHane said that he testified that if it does go past the 3 feet, that he would have an engineer design it and sign and seal it. He did, testify that, the drainage and the rain gardens. So, based on all of that, from an engineering standpoint, I think I wouldn't have an issue as long as the proper engineering plans and reports and stuff are submitted. And again, you will have freehold soils taking another look at it also. So, the township will be protected from that standpoint, from the engineering standpoint for runoff.
Just so I can have the record clear, so you're only suggesting as a condition that they submit the grading plan and not a plan for the wall, because it's 3 feet or less.
If it's 3 feet or less, he doesn't need it designed by an engineer.
But we'll put a condition in that if it
Yes.
exceeds
If-
3 feet, he'll have to come back with that. And who's going to measure that? That's an
Sure.
as-built?
Well, due to field conditions, if it exceeds the 3 feet, he has to provide what I'll call an engineered plan showing the design of the wall will stay there and stabilize the slope.
Okay.
And
Right.
Bob, you'll be able to, just for the resolution, you'll be able to know that, and the applicant will be able to know that once a grading plan has been done. That'll
Correct.
tell you if the wall has to increase in size.
Correct.
Mhm.
And also, we should probably put in that he is going to be encroaching into the steep slopes. That's part of the township ordinance. And that was my main concern.
Does that require a waiver?
No, I think that's a variance, isn't it, Kate?
Is it a variance?
When you encroach into the steep slopes and
Well, Bob, let me ask you a question. How is steep sloping determined from a professional standpoint, within a township? I mean,
well, the township has specific, if you read into my letter, we kind of describe how you're going into the steep slopes. And
Okay.
It's a steep slope ordinance.
okay.
All right. And you have to be aware, like number 2 in my letter is the existing slopes which exceed 25%. It says no development, regrading, or stripping of vegetation shall be allowed. So you're going to need a variance for that because you have 33+% slopes.
So does that mean I have to apply for another variance for this year? Or is this going to be incorporated into this?
If we're going to approve it, we create a package.
Incorporate it into this.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I think that, you know, I think that a lot of the time the board has treated other sections from this chapter as waivers. So, and in this case, I think that the testimony that we'd ask of the applicant is going to be pretty similar. So,
Okay.
yeah, I would defer to how the board's treated that. But yeah, so I think we should just get some brief, if you're all done, Marty doesn't, I just want to get some testimony from the applicant, just very briefly on the record.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Which is that, Mr. Haynes, you've testified tonight that that this is a better alternative to request the variance relief and also the relief from steep slopes, because if you were to put this elsewhere on your property, it would have a greater impact. So
That is correct. Yes.
That was your testimony earlier. And so do you think that the benefit of, you know, do you think that the benefit of the board's granting this relief would outweigh the detriment of doing so?
Right.
Yeah, I certainly would. And to the sense, again, you know, we love our setting on a property. We're trying to minimize the disturbance to that while incorporating this here, and really to enhance and beautify and take all of the you know, all of the general concerns with landscaping, with water runoff, soil retention, you know, cutting into these grades and into consideration and everything that we proposed here. And we do think that this is the best proposed plan for this property here if we are to try to get a pool installed.
Okay. And so do you see that this would have any detrimental impact on your neighbors or any other surrounding uses or the community?
Yeah, I don't. I actually think that one, our neighbors will benefit by one, some of the landscaping that we're going to be adding with the evergreens on the backside, and really, you know, creating a nice buffer between us and giving us more privacy between each other. You know, basically, I could look out my kitchen window and see right through their pool at this time here, where, you know, we incorporate this plan in here. It really generates a nice landscape buffer between us. Again, creates a little sound barrier with the fencing behind the landscaping, and again, without any disturbance of that 10-foot buffer off of the property line to their property line. And just to point out that they are within, I would say, their 25-foot setback of the property line to their pool, just because of the way their house is positioned. They were able to do that. It's, you know, they're on the side of Cardinal Road, and their pool is behind their house near where, so it basically faces the other lot, 503 next to us, you know, kind of lengthwise north and south. So we see the end of their pool, and it really just, I think it really is going to be beneficial to both, you know, both pieces of property, and incorporating this into this plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Just for the board, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, the questions that the board's planner, Kate Keller, just asked you are consistent what the municipal land use law, which is the law, New Jersey laws which govern the zoning board and how it acts. And it provides that if there are problems with ordinances, that the zoning board has the authority to grant variances and waivers. But the kind of testimony you just gave is the arguments that the MLU cell have to be made in order to justify the granting of such waivers and variances.
Mm-hmm.
Understood.
Yeah. And thank you.
So Kate,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So while you were asking those questions, I believe from prior applications, there's a section or ordinance that anything over 25% requires a variance or a waiver. We have treated it differently, I believe, over the years, but most recently, a couple of years ago, was a variance request. That's section 30 116.6.f. If you can want to verify that or not. And there's also a requirement, I think, that any area over that may be in need of a conservation easement, or that needs a waiver or variance if one's not proposed. So if you want to, if you can, I don't know if you have that in front of you, but we may want
Yeah,
to
so
clarify that.
you're referring to the steep slopes?
Yes, yes. Over 25%. I heard we're over 25% somewhere in the back. I'm not sure if that's true. But.
Yes.
Yes, that's.
No, we are. That's why I brought it up, is because they did exceed the 25%. And again, if the board does act favorably, you quoted the correct ordinance, because that's the one that I found was 30-116.6.
So we should add that those two, if the conservation easements require, we should add those two to the relief tonight, if that's the intent of the board.
Yeah, I think that the applicant's testimony, I was trying to get it in relation to ask him in relation to both of those. Yes. So there is the steep slope, and my understanding is that a conservation easement wouldn't be required here because it's existing, it's on the property and it's being disturbed. Am I misunderstanding that?
I'm actually raising it to you. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
We've had it in the past, and I'm not sure if there was a distinction. So I'm just raising it to you.
I think I'd have to look, but there is, in addition to the 3116, there's also 3058, which is the easement ordinance.
Yeah.
I think there's some language there. I'd have to go look at the exact wording as to what's required. But in this case, putting this isolated steep slope into an easement makes no sense.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I'm just saying we should, in case it's required, we should probably add that to our list tonight, just so we're covered.
We'll have to look offline. We can look up the exact wording of the ordinance. Exactly.
Right. Okay. Yeah. My understanding just from the ordinance is that it would necessarily be required if without the easement there would be significant like erosion or something like that in that sense, which I think that also speaks to the ability to grant a waiver in this case, if that's
right.
And there's a third spot, it may be 116.1, either that or another place where it says which subsections require variances and easements.
Okay.
Just Richard, for your information, what happens, we're having this hearing, the end of which there'll be a motion and a vote. But what then, at a subsequent meeting, our attorney, Mr. Flager, will have prepared a resolution which will document all of the discussions that we've had tonight, and will document the variances and waivers that are being granted. And then, so the board will, once that's prepared, we'll vote on that, and that becomes the formal documentation of what the board has agreed to.
Mr.
Understood.
And Bob and Marty, I apologize for this. I realized this when I looked at this a couple of weeks ago, and it just clicked now. The resource management regulations are only meant to apply to major subdivisions and major site plans. So something like a steep slope waiver, in my understanding, is not, it's not meant to impede on residential properties in this way, and something like a conservation easement in that case. It's for if that kind of thing, if that kind of disturbance is required in in the initial development of a subdivision or in a major site plan. So I think for these purposes, what like any applicable requirements, because I think that besides the conditions of approval that the board can and will put in this to require a grading plan, everything under for Bob's approval, etc. That I don't think that we might not need to take formal action otherwise.
Okay. So, board, any of the board members have any questions or comments on this proposal?
We're gonna include the variance for the garage so that this way that comes in conformance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's the garage, and also I believe that the pool house is also within the rear setback of 25 feet. I think it's 20 feet, so that should be also, that was in the notice, and so that should also be included.
Okay, do you have the exact proposed distances? So we can just clarify, and those exhibits don't show the exact distance.
Well, at least one of them does. Let me look at it on, I believe it is,
Hey, Marty, isn't there a way that we could leave all of this, let's call it engineering and legal stuff
Yeah.
to the professionals as a condition, and we can vote on this and end
Oh,
this?
yeah, absolutely.
I'll be
Yeah,
sitting
yep.
around here all night with this.
You know, we've seen the diagram, so it's on, if it's on the plans, I'll just grab it
yes,
off.
we have access to it, Marty. It
Right,
is
as long as the engineering and all the items that the professionals are completed, I don't see why we can't vote on this and not hold the applicant
Yeah.
up.
Well, although the nature of the variances needs to be part of the resolution, so.
Yeah, I have no further comments on it at all, so.
Okay, in that case,
Back to the
does
chair.
any board members have any other questions or comments at the moment? Because we also need to see if there's any public. Okay, let me go to open to questions and comments from any members of the public wishing to speak on this application. If you would like to speak, please touch the raise hand button at the bottom center of your screen.
Ralph, I see Mary Knobloch.
Okay, can you let Mary in, please?
Sure, hold on.
Done.
Thanks, Brian.
Mary, can you turn your video and audio on, please? Can you speak so we see we can hear you?
Mary,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you. Do you have a video? Can you turn your video on?
No, I don't think so.
It's on the bottom left.
Trying.
That's it.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Well, actually, it's not me. There I am. Hello.
Hello, you want to please introduce yourself, spell your name and give your address?
Sure, it's Mary Knobloch, K-N-O-B-L-A-U-C-H.
Hold on, can you speak up, please?
It's Mary Knobloch, K-N-O-B-L-A-U-C-H.
We can't hear you, Mary.
You're
I
not
think
close enough.
She's
to the
moving
mic.
away from the microphone. Yeah.
It looks like she's ducking or something.
Well, I'm seeing two people. Which is-
You need to set your computer closer to you so you
Okay,
can.
it's the person with the glasses on. You're muted, Mary.
How's that?
Ah, much better.
Perfect.
Okay,
Okay, you want to give us your name, spell it, and your address, please?
sure. It's Mary Knobloch, K-N-O-B-L-A-U-C-H. And the address is 4 Cardinal Road, Holmdel.
Okay, Marty, would you
Yep.
like?
Well, Mary, you just have a question or you're gonna have a comment?
I have just some comment and
Okay.
concern.
So let's swear you in quick. If you'd raise your right
Sure.
hand. You swear
Sure,
to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes.
Okay. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Mary.
Yes, I'm the next door neighbor on the side where the slopes are. And my concern is soil erosion. That's my biggest concern. Drainage and runoff. Because that's what we're worried about. And I've listened to this, and if we have an engineering report and these steep slope and the soil stuff, maybe I'd feel better about it. But that's what I'm worried about, because there are a lot of trees there, and I know that the trees, help to keep the soil from eroding, and that's what our biggest concern is here. And I was wondering if we could see some kind of report from a professional that this isn't going to happen. Because I'm worried, especially after all the rain we just had, that, you know, the soil's going to continue to erode, and there's already been a lot of trees removed over there, and I'm worried about it. So I'd like to know how that is addressed. That would make me feel more confident that, you know, this isn't going to collapse here, this slope, because we're on the other side of, you know, we share the slope.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question the board has been concerned about those same issues as you've heard during our discussion in the past hour. Mr. Hayes, would you like to respond?
Yeah, so hi, Mary, and hi, Ed, how are you? So again, I hope that you had a chance to just kind of look over the plan that we're presenting over here. I think one of the first things that you'll see is that we're incorporating a 3-foot retaining wall on the backside there to get down to the grade that we want to install our pool at, basically creating like a 30 by 60 level grade there, and in doing so, maintaining a 10-foot buffer, landscape buffer from basically the property line to that retaining wall. We have plans to replant evergreens in there, such as we're looking at the Leland cypress evergreens, which are full year bloom. They mature quickly, they fill in quickly, and they have a good root system to really hold soil and also to help retain and water and absorb water, any of the rain runoff. The part towards Capert Alley, which is that gradual grade there, where obviously we had a lot of underbrush and stuff over there that's been cleared out in there. We still intend to replant vinca in that area there. That's been one of the best ground covers for us inside there. That one has a good tight root system to it. It really helps retain and absorb runoff, as opposed to it just running over some grass and soil. So we think that vegetation is really beneficial for that portion of the slope. We're addressing the front side of the pool elevation with some boulder wall, which again, incorporating the mountain pinks and some ground cover within between the rocks of the boulder wall, really handle a lot of that water runoff, basically absorbing a lot of that additional excess water. Obviously Bob has requested that we have a little bit more engineering done with by a professional to just review our potential plan and put something finalized together for the township. But we have our intent is good intentions. One, I think we also are looking to create some privacy for you guys with our plan here. That currently right now we're pretty wide open to each other, and that there will, between the evergreens on the backside, the fencing in the back over there, really is going to give you guys a lot more privacy than we have now, both of us together. And again, I'm a naturalist. I love the ornamental landscaping. I really want to maintain as much of the existing characteristics of the property with this plan, and I think that I think you guys in the end will really be happy in what we do out there to again benefit both of us in the end over here, and help increase your property value, increase our property value as well, and really attend to all of the ecological concerns brought up by everybody in here. So I don't know if there's any other concerns that you guys have, but I can assure you that when this is completed, that the project's really going to be something that you guys would get to appreciate as well on your side.
I,
And you can
s-
come over for a barbecue and a
My-
dip.
my
Does the
con-
freehold
my
soil
concerns are the
review
same. My
give her any
concerns are the
additional
same.
comfort?
Excuse me?
I was asking our engineer if the freehold soil review will provide her with any additional comfort on this issue.
Absolutely, yes.
Maybe you need to explain that a little further to her so she feels a little bit more comfortable and at
Well,
ease. with it.
I do, and I do, that would help, but there were a lot of trees there already that have been removed. And I'm concerned because there's several trees that have been removed. There's many stumps and I'm just worried because it's hard to put in trees and have them.
Why, can I ask why the trees were removed? Was this something that you did?
Well,
or Rich?
No.
or some-
No, a lot of there was a lot of underbrush through the backyard in that area back there on our property. There, we did have one tree that we had some concerns about it with the rot to the tree, and there was, again, when the tree was taken down, we lost some of the, we've had a lot of trees fall in our area back inside there, and they're very, very close to the house, meaning that, some of the ones that were removed had already had large limbs fall off of the tree. We've taken them down to, again, minimize our risk of damage to our property. And obviously when they were taken down, we could see the extensive root damage at the base of the tree that would have really jeopardized us over here. And just, again, we lost a lot of stuff during all of the storms throughout the years that we've been here. So it's, little by little, they've been falling in the backside over there just because of the height. The soil's really not that stable back there for those larger trees in the back there. And, it's something that we've just been dealing with. I mean, we've had a lot of stuff, really drop close to the house that we had to have removed, but we still have a lot of mature trees around our property. And again, when we look at the landscaping bed on the east side of the plan inside there, we're looking at, some smaller blooming trees that may not grow to the heights of some of the trees that have fallen, but they will still basically provide again, soil retention, just beauty in itself, and still restore any kind of restore some of the landscape, the landscape back in there, but in a much more managed fashion as opposed to what was going on back over there. So, and again, a lot of trees that were up inside there were really undersized and really like poor quality trees in the back over there. So,
Any other comments, Mary, at this time?
No, I said, oh, Edward wants to speak. I continue to just be worried about the drainage and the soil erosion. That's my concern. And that a 3-foot retaining wall, I don't know that would be enough. I would want an engineer to tell me that that's enough to hold all that soil there and all that slope in place. I don't know enough, but I don't want it to all disappear, all the soil.
Yeah, I think we can appreciate your concern, and that's why the board has its engineer and planner to also review these plans.
Okay,
You had another person there that wanted to speak?
well, my husband, he's also the neighbor here.
Okay,
My name's Edward Knobloch. I own 4 Cardinal Road.
He has to move closer to the computer. I can hear him.
And we got to swear you in.
My name is Edward Knobloch. I own 4 Cardinal Road, next door to 2 Cardinal Road.
And Mr. Noble, if you raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, sir.
Okay.
The only trees left back there now are on our side of the property. Had somebody come in last year and take down around 20. He took down the rest of them weeks ago. One was a 100-year-old pine tree that was on, it's on the crest of the hill. If you look at the drawing or the elevation, and that's about 5 feet from the property line. So in order to get that out, it's going to definitely disrupt our side. The other thing is, he said we have a pool over there. Our pool is 105 feet from Cardinal Road. My house has a 50-foot setback like everybody else's. The side of my house is 32 feet long. His proposal is to put his pool exactly where my house is, raise it 5 foot up from grade, and then put it 15 feet closer than the law allows. I don't see how that could increase my property. I could put up a fence myself. I asked, because he has room to move it to the back, and he moves it back farther. Also, he mentioned that he could come right up to the property line and only get a zoning permit. My trees are right on the property line. He'd have to cut the roots off of all my trees to do that. Now, is that something that he can do?
Bob or Kate, would you like to comment?
Well,
I was going to say I'll let Bob take this unless
Well,
there's
look,
other questions.
it's, if they're on his property, I mean, it's just like if a tree limb comes over top of a fence and is encroaching on somebody's property. I mean, it all depends on what the ordinance says, but I know where I live, if my neighbor's trees are going over the fence and hitting my shed or whatever, he has to trim those limbs away. So, you know, if the roots are on his property and he's entitled to improve his property, and those roots are there, I mean, I don't know, that'd probably be, Marty, I don't want to throw it on you, but that could be a legal question.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding, Holmdel does not have an ordinance with regard to trees on private property.
Right.
And so it becomes a private property issue between the neighbors. And as you described, the property line is the property line. And whatever is within your property, you have the right to dig up and throw away or plant more of. And if it crosses the property line, then it becomes an issue between you and your neighbor.
Right, and I think, Bob, to just further reiterate that we are, we're intending on maintaining a 10-foot buffer from the property line, which would be well enough away from any of his tree lines on that side over there. Like I said, the only thing that we would be looking at is the plantings for the Leland cypress, which means that basically, any of his trees that are, with, at the property line or on his property, the root system still certainly would not even make it to the retaining wall, which is, again, going to be 10 feet off of the property line to where that retaining wall drops. And again, there'll be replantings going back up inside there, they're basically, again, they're shallow root, 3-foot ball, plantings. And, so I think, any concerns with any trees on their side of the property line, really, won't come into play with that 10-foot buffer. And really, again, another thing that, we intended to just try to maintain some, again, some of that natural landscape in between the properties over there still with, yep.
Okay, Mr. Knobloch, thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Are there any other hands raised, members of the public who would like to make a comment or comments on questions on this application? You're muted, Loretta.
I don't see anybody raising their hand.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public comment portion of this hearing. Mr. DeHanes, would you just like to summarize what you are requesting from this board?
Yes. So again, in summary, we are looking for a side setback relief of 25 feet and a rear setback relief of 15 feet for the installation of an in-ground pool and patio, along with the pool house. We again intend to deal with the stormwater runoff and soil concerns with this project, with everybody's comments in mind. So, you know, we're just asking again for the board to consider granting this variance for what we're requesting, and meeting the conditions that the board puts in place to grant that permission.
Okay. Marty, could you summarize the conditions that you have noted?
Yep, so we need a grading plan to be submitted to Mr. Bucko to his satisfaction. We need, well, the applicant needs to get freehold soil approval as a condition. And when Bob sees the grading plan, or at any time during his inspections, if he deems that the retaining wall exceeds 3 feet, the applicant will have to submit an engineering plan for the retaining wall. Did I get those, Bob? Is that the ones you wanted?
That's what I need. Thank you.
I believe that was all we had.
Are there any other question or discussion on this application? Is there a
No,
motion?
Ralph, I'm sorry, but Ralph, the only comment that I did want to make is that while we're talking about soil erosion and all this over here, I really strongly urge the planning team to visit Cardinal Road, take a ride up Cardinal Road to assess the spillway that runs parallel with Catbird Alley, because we've over the years that we've been there, we've noticed incredible erosion of the spillway from my property all the way down to Crawford's Corner Road. I have to tell you this here, that when we moved in there, the mouth of the spillway, which is right at the corner of my property, when we moved in was probably about 25 feet. It's now probably about 100 feet wide there, with huge masses of embankment erosion and fall off with trees and stuff like that there. And the condition is really getting pretty bad. I know that over the last several years, we've had, you know, trees go down right on the curb line that took up part of the street over there. You know, the part of the road was closed. They dealt with a little bit of riprap replacement there and repaved the road. But you know, I just wanted
Ralph,
to.
I think you should stop this now. The
Yep.
application was closed already.
Well, that's, I mean,
Sure.
that's not a subject for this board. I'm aware that there have been comments about the problems on Catbird at the township committee meeting, and I believe the township engineer has been taking a look at that. So that's
Okay.
for them to address.
No. Yep. Okay. No problem.
I'm
Sorry
ready to
if this wasn't the right place for that.
I know, sir, but it's
Yeah.
Okay, Val,
reminder
want to make
that-
a motion?
I do. So I want to make a motion that we approve the applicant's variance with the conditions stated. I do want to add, though, Bob, I trust you 100%, but obviously whenever another resident comes and voices their concerns, while I certainly feel the applicant has every right to have a pool and we should do everything we can to help him obtain the pool that he wants, we also have to be very sensitive to what we're doing to the neighbors. So I'm going to ask you to take very special, pay very special attention to how these plans are impacting the adjoining property owner who came to the meeting tonight. And obviously, if there's anything that's going to throw additional water on their property, that's going to be an issue that's not going to allow
No.
you to pass on these plans.
That's correct. And that's what we usually look for, Valerie, is that it does not adversely affect the adjacent property owners.
Okay, I
Any-
mean, that's
any-
the big concern, right?
Right,
And
any other-
and I know the applicant doesn't want to impact his neighbor negatively, and I know everybody wants to work together, and they have legitimate concerns that I just want to make sure we're extremely attentive to.
Right. Oh, Marty, one
no.
other one is to include the variance with regard to the existing garage.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, you're right. So it's the side yard variance, the rear yard variance, the pool house variance, and the existing garage setback variance.
Yes.
But no, we, as Kate pointed out, does not need any conservation or steep slope variances.
No, just what you just
Motion
said.
by Valerie. Is there a second to the motion?
Second,
Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Sabrin,
Yes.
Mr. Buffalino,
Yes.
Ms. Campus,
You're muted. Francine.
Yes,
Mr. Hearn,
Yes.
Mr. Pesci,
Yes.
Mr. Urbanitopoulos,
yes.
and Mr. Blumenthal.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Mr.
I
Renee.
want to thank the board. Yes, I want to thank the board for the time and appreciate all the efforts on behalf of your team. And thank you again.
Okay, and Loretta will be following up with the attorney, and we'll let you know when the resolution may be heard. I'd say in 2 to 4
Okay,
weeks, most likely.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right?
Okay.
Going on, we have a couple of other items on the agenda. First is draft minutes that Loretta sent us for April 21st and May 5th. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes as submitted?
Start with April 21st.
Is there a
Motion
motion to approve?
I make the motion.
Anthony,
Second.
Second,
Dimitri, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Thank
opposed?
you.
Nope. And then May 5th,
May 5th was draft 2. A few board members gave me comments, and I resent them out to everybody with the changes in bold.
for this one, Mr. Buffalino was absent, so he can't vote on this one.
Right.
Is there any other additions or corrections? None. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Val, second.
second,
Francine, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed? Okay, great, thank you.
Last regular item is the annual report for 2020. Which Loretta prepared, and there's sort of 2 parts to this report like there is every year. The first part is merely a summary of what we did last year. I rely on Loretta for that. And then the board has the option of making recommendations for additions or changes to any of the ordinances to the township committee. Loretta did attach the recommendations that were previously made and had not yet been adopted. I like to report in that regard 2 things. That Loretta spoke with Sharon earlier today, and Sharon is taking some steps to review the the old recommendations and to bring them to the township committee's attention. Hopefully in the next meeting or so. Also, I spoke earlier today with DJ, because he's now on the township committee and he's very familiar with this since he was on the board last year with the recommendations that we're proposing. And the intent is to simplify life for both the residents and the boards in a number of additions, corrections, revisions to the thing. So with some hope that will move forward in the next couple of weeks. What I'd like to suggest is, as far as the report for last year apply, that I don't know if anyone has had any comments on the report other than the recommendations. If so, please relay them to Loretta. And what I suggest we hold adopting this for say 2 weeks, so we can see if in fact the township committee moves on the prior recommendations, in which case we do not need to include them here. So is that agreeable with everyone?
Yes.
It'll be nice to finally see some motion on some of these items because they've been around for quite a while.
Okay, is that it? I'm like to end the meeting if we're done.
Yeah, I would just do Bob or Kate or Marty have any other items for tonight?
None for me.
None for me.
In that case, Valerie would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Good night.
All in favor? Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
No. Okay, good. Thank you all and have a good
Thank you.
evening.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
Bye.
All right.
Good night, Loretta.
Brian, I was just texting you. We got lucky.